Welcome to Season 2 of The Aggregate, narrative coatings from around the globe. It's a broadcast that hails a treasured community of designers, architects, artists, and builders from around our world who refuse to ration their plaster passion. Amid a world of static and chaotic emotions, the show honors victories won and lessons learned. It tells the true tales rarely depicted on social media. With a neutral mind, these connective moments provide hiatus from the everyday hustle and bustle and offer a platform to recharge with our attention focused on shared skills and time-honored knowledge, ultimately curating continued creativity in everyday life. So take a second breath as New Age Artisans coats the planet and changes the standards of what it means to educate, empower, and create. I'm your host, Jeremy Mistretta, along with my man on the switches, Vincent Ryan, and welcome to our show. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Aggregate Season 2, Episode 19. I love the number 19. It's my wife's lucky number, so every time I see it, it makes me think of her. And she's beautiful. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Maya and Price from Alchemist Paints. Really amazing to chat with those ladies and connect. I love stories of synergy, and I appreciate them even more when they're geared towards a common goal of enhancing our people and our beautiful planet, even though it's a little crazy at the moment. Great week at New Age Artisans. Sun's shining, getting a little warmer, a little bit lighter. We've been full throttle on a remodel, fixing architectural elements and planing walls with our classic blend. The chic finish has a touch of a rustic flair, and it ties beautifully into what I consider the wabi-sabi stonework. Team's morale is high, and we're a cohesive and functional machine, and I love it. In creative world, we're chugging along nicely too. You may have noticed our recent collaboration with USG. I'm humbled and honored to be working alongside one of the largest wall manufacturers, honestly, I think in North America. Each day I look at our films, our images, and our team, and I'm both inwardly and outwardly proud of the work that we've done. The entire movement of people in plaster is so much bigger than us, and as we begin to align ourselves with other companies, it's rewarding to know that they see it too. We've had many projects in the pipeline with United States Gypsum, so please stay tuned. We're going to collaborate with Drywall Shorty in her artist series, and my great friend, Mr. Gabriel Franklin from The Art of Plaster. If you haven't heard yet, Gabe is joining the artist series. We'll have his class launched by early May at the latest. It's a class that harnesses nature's botanical power and couples it with his kind demeanor to render floral castings that I think is going to be a testament to students' creativity and Gabe's honest efforts. I hope everyone in the world takes his class. Carl and Brianna got to zip back to Pennsylvania and hang out with Gabe, and I was jealous. And I'm even more jealous when Carl tells me about editing all day in his editing booth, and he feels like he's kind of hanging out with Gabe. And then I'm even more jealous. Gabe's my best friend out there these days. He's a champion of art, kindness, and sheer determination. And when he speaks, I listen. Especially when he tells me about cool creatives in our world, and makers and masters. Just like today's guest, Miss Becky Little. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hi there. Yeah. I've never been called Miss Becky Little before, but it's really nice. Thank you.
I only kind of know you a little bit. I more just know of you. You seem like a very nice person. So I just want to stick to the formalities right out of the gate before I just start.
No, that's great. I like it.
I don't want to show you my true self yet. Maybe we will get there. Do you know Becky Gilling?
Yes, I do. Yeah. There's so many Beckys in the world of Earth, isn't there?
They're
everywhere.
Yeah. A lot of Beckys. Yeah. When I first met her, I was calling her Rebecca. And she's like, Rebecca's my professional name. And I was like, well, you and we're professionals. And she was like, yeah, but we're friends. Call me Becky. Please. This is weird. I feel like you're my father. Stop it. So Rebecca or Becky for you? How would you like to be called?
Yeah, I think Becky probably. Like, I was Rebecca back in the day. Like, my family called me Rebecca, but it's mostly when I'm not behaving.
Good.
So, and the tax man calls me Rebecca. So let's do Becky.
Yeah. Okay. We'll stick to that. I don't want to. Nope. No tax man. He's not my friend, although he's showing up here on April 15th. I can't wait to see him.
I think we might need him as well.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. That bugger. It's all right. We give him money, and I don't quite know what they're doing with our money right now. There's interesting things going on here. I'm like, wait, I didn't vote for that. Yeah.
Let's stick with the mud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What have you been up to so far today?
Today I was out with dog. We have 2 dogs. One's a sleepy old dog, and the other one's a big deer hound that's like a wolf. So I was out with him, trying to tire him out.
Yeah.
On the hill, and then I came back via my wood pile, and I stacked some logs. That's kind of mostly what I've managed so far.
That sounds like a nice,
beautiful day.
Yeah. What time is it there? Noon?
It's about lunchtime now, so like 10 to 1-ish.
Nice. Yeah.
Six. Beautiful sunny day.
Nice. I think we're going to have a beautiful sunny day, although it's dark here. We just had daylight savings time. So last week it was light at this time, and today it's dark, but it's all right. We've met builders, architects, designers, scientists, manufacturers across the globe this season. It's incredible. After season 1 of our show, I was told by a few listeners that I wouldn't be able to recreate a lineup as impressive for season 2. And I disagree. I took that as a challenge. This season's been full of twists and turns and refined passion. And it's pretty awesome, the connections that we've made. And it's even more amazing when we get to draw inspiration from season 1 guests like Gabe. And I'm sure all the listeners will remember episode 26, our swan song of season 1, with Siggy Coco, A Circle Amongst Squares. Siggy told us about her fun upbringing and her rise as one of America's most inspirational natural builders. Those are my words, not hers, by the way. There have been times when I've needed advice that is completely unrelated to plaster specifically, and I've called Siggy because I thought, I bet Siggy knows what to do in this situation. I listen and I learn. Teaching is her passion, and anyone that collaborates alongside with her, I love to know more about them. It's riveting to know the modern day stories, yet nothing occurs overnight. There's always a backstory, and hopefully Becky will shed some light on her roots. Where did it all start?
First of all, I have to confess I'm not Scottish. We have to get that out there.
What?
I'm from England. I know. Like I've lived here for 30 something years, and I have a very weird accent that's sort of semi-Scottish, semi-English. It's a bit of a mixture, but I'm from Yorkshire in England, the north of England.
Okay.
That's where I was born. Yeah. Although lots of Scottish families, so I had friends and relatives here, and we would visit. But yeah, I was born in Yorkshire.
Yeah. Well, and your countries are connected, so it's not like it's
but it's a big deal.
Big deal.
It matters.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would matter here too if somebody was like, "Oh, I'm Canadian." No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're an American.
Yeah. And I think there's a thing. Because I'm coming from a kind of heritage perspective, that's been the bulk of what I do. So I think it really matters in that my knowledge is of Scottish buildings, really, and the Scottish materials. Because when I was at home in Yorkshire, I was being a kid and growing up.
Yeah.
So
what did you do being a kid growing up?
I mean, I actually wasn't a massive tomboy or anything like that. I mean, I loved to be outside, I guess. That was the big thing. I like to roam free we have moors, so it's moorland where I'm from. It's called the Peak District. and it's just mile upon mile of heather and hills, quite big hills. So we would just, I think, and as kids, we had a lot of freedom, more than kids have now. So we would just be out there, playing in wild places. That was really what I did when I was young, out on the bike or just wandering.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Benito Steen?
Oh, yeah. I've been to the Steens.
Yeah. We had him on an episode a few months ago, and we actually named it Child of the Wild.
Yeah, I think that totally fits.
Yeah.
I think I have boys a bit like Benito.
Yeah, that guy is so awesome. Did you did you have any like jobs as a kid?
Well, a little bit. I mean, I did that usual thing of working in a bar and, working in a shop. I did those kind of jobs, because although I was on the edge of not wilderness, but wild places, I was at the sort of top end of a little town. So there was possibilities there for small jobs to make a bit of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the same as most young people, I think.
Yeah. I worked in a restaurant, when I was 15, washing dishes. I think after 40 hours of work or something, I had made like $150.
Yeah.
This isn't going to pencil out. We got to figure something.
No, I mean, it's a good place to learn, isn't it? You toughen up when you learn about people, I think, in those first jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And you maybe learn what you don't want to do, because the shoe shop was terrible, like lots of smelly children's feet. The children were lovely, by the way. They just had smelly feet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm 45 years old and I still have smelly feet. Just ask my wife, whose lucky number is 19. So, yeah.
Actually, I have to say I've got something that can fix that for you. And we'll probably talk about this later, but like polished clay balls or Dorodango.
Yeah.
They're really brilliant for putting inside your shoes at night because they take the odors. Yeah.
Oh man. So, I'll put them in like the 15 pairs of Birkenstocks that I have every night. And I just like a revolving door of Birkenstocks. Yeah. The crew cleaned out one of our work trucks the other day, and guy Jason was like, I found 4 sets of Birkenstocks in there. I'm like, great.
That's not normal.
Yeah. I've just been collecting them throughout the ages of my life. So put some Dorodangos in there. What about like school, high school and stuff? Did you do any fun sports or anything like that?
I was good at hitting things.
Yeah.
So I was in the hockey team, but I wasn't any good at anything very skillful, like dribbling or passing. So they stuck me on the sidelines to whack the ball. Mm-hmm. So like they needed the big hit. That was my thing. And I was thinking like throwing things as well. I was good at throwing javelins and shot put. So if it just needed a bit of grunt, I was the person.
You're the person, yeah, the discus.
Yeah, although that was a bit more skillful. So in fact, the discus would go the wrong way.
So
it just needed, something quite clear to aim at and a big whack. I was fine.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's probably like helped you in your career.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the start of something great.
Yeah. And then, we talked to people in, over in the UK. You're the first person that we've spoken to in Scotland. I'm going to pretend that you're from Scotland. I'm going to pretend you didn't tell me.
Yeah, let's carry on. Let's keep that.
Yeah. Everyone's got a different schooling. What was like, did you go to uni?
Yeah. So I did the high school thing and then I went to university, but I hated it actually. No, I didn't hate all of it, but it wasn't for me. I didn't really like sitting around reading I've come to like reading later, but I just didn't like that focus on reading and writing. And I was more into doing things with my hands. So in fact, I was quite glad when it was finished and I got out. And I was in a city and that also didn't suit me either because I just was used to having space. So you go, okay, well, I'll just kind of do a patchwork quilt of stuff and see what happens. So it's, in fact, for me, it ended up being geography, archaeology and French. That's kind of what I majored in. And individually, those subjects were great. And in fact, then I started to understand that I'm the kind of person that actually likes learning about lots of things, but mostly I like working with my hands. So I met a builder at university, which is how things developed. A guy called Tim Meek, who some of you may know. He's an amazing, he was a bricklayer back in the day, but he's a restoration or a conservation builder and now does research. And he took me on, but we just happened to meet in Newcastle University in the archaeology department, I think.
Oh, wow.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. What sort of projects did you work on when you were in the archaeology department?
It was, so I went and worked on the first site, I remember it well, was a castle, and it was called Strome Castle on the west coast of Scotland, which is just utterly beautiful. So there's my tourist advert, just come to the west coast. So it's this rocky outcrop with this kind of roofless ruin, medieval, and the mortar is made of coral sand. So the sand is like, it's plant coral, not animal coral. So there's a difference. And it's the most beautiful lime mortar you've ever seen. Strong, incredible, no roof, and it's still there. So this was where I began, was we started to look around for that sand to make a mortar the same as to do the work, to do the repair. So all through that sort of period of life where I was learning about old buildings, I was looking at the materials, especially the mortars, and seeing what were these people doing? How is this done? And how can we do this now in the repair? So that was the first job I ever did. It was just, and that I was hooked, to be honest. That was it. It was magical. Like really physically hard work, but the most beautiful job.
Yeah. Sounds insanely rewarding. Yeah. And then what year was that?
I think that would be 92. Mm-hmm. 91, 92, 92, maybe 91, but early 90s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was the start of the lime revival, actually. He was becoming a specialist in lime. And for us, that was right at the beginning of our lime revival, I think. Like there was a thread that continues right through, but it hadn't completely broken, but we were getting it moving again.
Why do you think, do you think it was, the advent of Portland concrete that pushed lime down?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. Like industrialization and, the railways brought all these modern new materials and it was progress and off we went. Mm-hmm. Cheap, easily, strong, and all the problems that have come from that. But yes, and in Scotland in particular, I think, especially if we'll talk about earth maybe in a little bit, but the earth buildings, which is a whole other seam of heritage, they were largely destroyed in Scotland. They were seen as backward and sort of a poor person's kind of building. So they were literally flattened to the ground, most of them, and replaced with bricks and cement and other modern materials.
Yeah.
So, but in a conservation way, most of my work was to do with taking away cement and replacing it with lime for a good 20 years. That was what I did most of the time.
Yeah. I was in Lincoln, England a couple of years ago, and I met a gal named Rachel Ragg. She is I wouldn't say conservator per se, but she's more of she is a stonemason at the Lincoln Cathedral. And she told me that her least favorite thing to do is to remove Portland cement. She just feels like it was such a backwards move on that cathedral. Yeah. Have you been to that cathedral?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fantastic.
Oh, God. I just walked in there. My heart just stopped the first time I went in there.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah. After, the early 90s, what sort of profession, like what direction did you move in, 100%?
Yeah. So there was this thing about working with Tim on the castles and churches and all sorts of historic buildings. And then I was kind of sponsored by our government body for heritage. So I had a 2-year internship, and it was again completely, but my whole life has been chance, actually. None of this was planned, but I was out there on the building site, and Historic Scotland person came and said, "Oh, look, a young woman building, amazing. We should sponsor you to learn and to keep progressing with your skills." So that happened. And really I was given the role of mortar mason, which is kind of a medieval craft, craft skill from medieval times, which was all about the binder, the sticky stuff that stuck masonry together. So I didn't really do stone carving very much. It was much more about the glue. And as I said, mostly it was lime in the beginning, and then it became clay later. So that was a lucky break, if you like. And I did my 2 years, and then I was very young and naive and said, well, I can just go into business now because I can do this.
Yeah.
So I did. I literally stepped out of that training, and, thanks to Tim, to a large part, I had the skills I needed to get on with some jobs. And then I started to take on small jobs in my own right with one other person. We worked as a pair and traveled Scotland with a van, sometimes with a caravan, with some dogs, my pal Philip, and we fixed buildings all over Scotland for a good few years and kind of learnt as I went.
Yeah.
On small structures, repairing mainly small structures.
Yeah.
It was great. What a life.
Have vans, will travel. How old were you then?
About 20, I think 24 when I set up, maybe 25, which I just think was crazy now. I didn't know anything.
What do you think, outside of the trade? What do you think, if you had to just close your eyes, think about like the craziest story outside the trade that occurred during those times while traveling? I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
I've got a terrible story I can't repeat. It involved the lack of welfare facilities. Oh, no, that's outside the trade. Okay, outside the trade. I don't know. We just had happy times in tents and caravans eating chips. I mean, that chips being fries.
Fries, yeah. Fish and chips. Yep.
Yeah, fish and chips. It was like it was all outside. I don't know about. Oh, yeah, here's one. Again, it's kind of related to trade. My life is so mashed up together. I find it difficult to separate things. It's kind of how my brain works. But I do remember on a job being invited to have a ride in a helicopter. It was a friend of Tim's, actually. So that's maybe pre being on my own business. But we went in this helicopter and we were working on a castle. And this friend of his who drove the helicopter, he did this thing where he took us up and then he swept down this kind of avenue of trees, heading straight for the castle while singing World War I theme tunes from old films. I can't remember one in particular. And then just before we hit the castle, he would swoop up and over the top.
Whoa.
So it was stuff like that. You're out on these jobs where things like that happened all the time, actually. You just met people and crazy stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happy days. Happy days. Exactly. Yeah. I think about some of the things that I would involve myself in when I was 24, 25, just traveling around. I'm like, oh my God, that was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's good because it shows you like, you have to like step out of the box and stretch it out a little bit.
Totally.
And it's like not all about just the work. It's about like the work is like the thing that you do. So you get to do the crazy things.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
I don't know. I think mine is so mixed up that I like when I had kids, because I have these two boys and I worked right through. I was literally working when I just given birth, like on my books or something. It was all just woven together. And I remember kids and backpacks in meetings. I didn't take them on the scaffold. That was like a line, obviously. Although I'm sure I had the dog on the scaffold once. But it's like a bit of me said, if you can't cope with me with this baby on my back, then I'm not going to be doing this work here. Or if you can't cope with my baby sort of crying in the background while we have this business call, then probably I can't work with you. I mean, obviously we had to get work done to deadlines and everything, and it had to be great quality. It's not that we didn't do the work well, but it's just, I wanted to be accepted as somebody with a family and somebody that was trying to run a business and be a mother at the same time, which felt important.
Yeah. When you hire me, you hire all of me. And then you're going to put your heart and your soul into the work that you're doing to get the money to just put it right back into the family so you guys can keep churning. I get that. And I mean, I think.
And my partner is sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I think that a lot of times, people, when they hire us to do work, it's not necessarily for the yes, I feel like we're good at the work that we do, but it's like a full package deal. Like they know what they're supporting, and they're supporting. Yeah. I feel like they're supporting me, and they're supporting us, and they're supporting our team. And it's this very like holistic approach to it all, circular,
totally,
which I like.
Totally.
Yeah. What were you going to say about your partner?
Just that Tom, who, you know, we're involved in most things together, actually, or a lot of things. He's an architect. So in fact, we're kind of a design build partnership to some degree. And, so in a way that means that my family life is bound to be connected, because we'll often weave a holiday around a site visit or something. You know, it's just, that's the reality. And the boys, like this building we're sitting in, we built this, or we renovated and added to this building. It was an old cottage. And so my children were brought up in, you know, with gritty floors, and it's a building site. It's still a building site because we're kind of slow.
Yeah.
That's their reality. And for several years when they were kids, they would complain and like say, oh, it's embarrassing to bring our friends back because there's mud everywhere and you're just weird. But eventually they've gone now, oh my God, our parents are so cool. And now they invite people back and they follow us, and we've kind of gone through that phase because they're now 20-ish. So yeah, we're cool again.
You guys are cool. Yeah. Well, I can tell you're way cool. And I've also, my son told me the other day, he goes, Dad, my friends think you're weird. And I was like, your friends are right. I am weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not like cool. That weird. Okay. Just so you know, like, come on, give me a break here. Okay, I'll take the weird, but I'm not that weird. And yeah, I mentioned to him, I was like, 10 years from now, I'm going to bring this back up to you. You tell me what you said. He goes, you're still going to be weird. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When was, like the first structure that you built? Did you build during Vagabond Lifestyle?
Yeah. So probably for like, I'm trying to think the timings. For a few years I repaired mostly, but and then I started to work on earth buildings, which is a whole range of things in Scotland, to be honest. But cob being one of the, you call it cob probably. I would call it mud wall. Mm-hmm. And after repairing a few mud wall buildings, I was like, okay, we need to do a new one now. Like that's the next step. We need to show it can be done in a new modern building because it's not just history. So we made a workshop, which was kind of a little kind of place you might put your car or, a shed, a glorified shed. And that was my first whole building. Got some help on the roof because, like I said, I'm not great with the wood. And that was probably, like 96 or something, 97, I'm not sure. But yeah, quite soon after I'd started fixing up earth buildings.
Yeah. And then when did you decide that you were going to turn that into your profession? When was it like, this is it?
No, it never happened. It just didn't. I never had that thought. It just, one thing led to another in quite an organic way. I was on Tim's building site, and then I was sponsored, and then I was in business, and then I was like, oh shit, look, I'm a builder.
Yeah, look at this. I don't know how this happened. Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fine. This works. I quite like this. It's hard, but this suits me for now. And it's had various, changes as we've gone along. I guess there was a time when I chose earth as a specialism, and that was more conscious. And I went, right, okay, I want to do earth now, which was much more recently, actually, when I decided to focus in.
Yeah.
But building as a whole, no, it's just kind of happened.
Well, I love that. Most things, those are the best things that aren't like just these cognizant decisions. Let's take a quick break. And then when we get back, I want to talk about how things just keep happening. I like it.
Ah, the secrets of plaster. So many recipes, techniques, and applications, its diverse definitions and coveted concoctions have confused many a modern applicator. And thanks to the possessive powers of the internet, there's even more information that mystifies the waters of comprehension. Enchanted by Google Images, hungry homeowners, architects, applicators, and designers search the tangled web, patching together some sense of structure to create textured walls, polish elements, abstract art, and relief pieces. What if the journey to success wasn't so challenging? What if all the inspiring information was integrated onto one canvas? Your wait is over. We are collecting years of practice, technique, and art into one hub, the Plaster Portal. With our streamlined system and contemporary interface, the portal protects these processes and offers applicators around the planet the opportunity of discovery, directly from the masters who preserve them. And we would like you to be part of this communal movement. So become a member today. With affordable fee of just $75, you'll become a baseline member, which provides purchasing access to New Age Artisan plaster blends, as well as hand-picked content full of tips, tricks, and time-saving strategies that you can't get anywhere else. You also acquire access to our Prominent Artist Series courses, celebrating both specialty plaster finishes and industry professionals from around the world who are proud to share their time-tested practices. With the strength of our membership, we can encourage the celebration of these trades, discover new and valuable skills, and conserve the arts. Head to newageartisans.com and click the Plaster Portal link. Sign up is fast and easy. We can't wait to have you as part of our community. Before we get back to the show, here's a guest from Season 1 with a quick hello.
Hey, this is Daryl Morrison from Vancouver, Canada's Cadoro Plaster, and you're listening to The Aggregate.
All right. We're back. Back with Becky. Thank you, Mr. Daryl Morrison, Cadoro Plaster in Vancouver, British Columbia. Daryl has so graciously donated a bunch of trowels to our passion project in Morocco. And, we hit up a lot of manufacturers to see if they would be interested in giving us some goods and some gear. And a lot of the manufacturers, unfortunately, didn't really step up yet. It was the individuals, people like Daryl, that is strictly a distributor, that, donated his time and his money and fabricated these trowels. They're just these beautiful Come trowels, and they have this slight little radius on them. And they're going to help us out on these crazy contoured walls in Morocco. So thank you so much, Daryl. We're back with Becky, and we were talking before just about how things just happen. My take on it from where I sit is things just happen to good people. I feel like you can tell a lot about the person by the company they keep. All you got to do is tell me you're friends with Gabe and Siggy, and you're instantly my friend. That's my take on it. So I'm just psyched to, I guess at this juncture, after 30 minutes, being friends with Becky now. And then I want to know more about like these things that are just kind of like keep happening. Initially the question was like, what was day one of your career? But it sounds like day one was when you were in the van cruising around. But like, What's the day to day like? Like, how does it work for you?
Oh, it's so varied. It's very hard to say. I mean, every day is a bit different to some degree.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. People ask a lot about like, oh, what's your day like? Like, how does it work? It seems like so streamlined. And I'm like, oh man, we got you fooled. It is not streamlined. Like, I wake up every day, and there was somebody that was here shadowing one time from a different part of the country. And they said, like, how do you do it? I'm like, just watch. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, dude, I'm just going to sit down in this chair, and at 8:00, this phone's going to ring. And they're like, you're sure? And I'm like, guarantee it. And I just sat there, and at like 8:02, it just started boom, 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 blowing up. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I just start playing checkers or chess or whatever I need to do to move this thing along. And I just do really whatever it takes. It's like, as Bob Dylan said, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. It's just kind of like, I don't know, we just go this way, go this way. So it sounds like you and I are like kindred spirits, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I tend to have projects that run for, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, like, or 2 or 3 months. I mean, the timescales can vary. And so when I'm on a particular project, I'm going to be focused on that more. and maybe doing that day after day. And then, of course, there's the teaching side. So when I'm in a workshop kind of situation, then it's really intense. I just disappear into that for a week or more.
Yeah. How far are the projects like away from you? Are they all pretty centrally located?
Yeah. Well, again, these days more around my home, really. Having said that, I'm going to Austria in July for a summer school where I teach. Mm-hmm. So I can have the odd thing where, and like last year I was with Siggy out in Pennsylvania, which was a dream come true. So the occasional big travel. And then a lot of home-based stuff at the moment. But last year, mostly in Orkney, because I had that big project, about 5 hours from me, 6 hours.
Yeah. What's the general state of construction in Scotland?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Like, what's like your average home made of?
Yeah. I mean, it's just your usual kind of, there's a lot of timber frames here, but they're kind of, stick frames. And then there's concrete block, kingspan, insulation, concrete, the usual. Blech.
Yeah. Blech. Yeah. What is blech coated with? Like wall panels and blech, like nasty paint, or is it?
Yeah. Well, we have a big thing for cement renders as well, and pebble dash and all of that. But I mean, again, I'm not really in that world, like not much anyways. I'm much more in the old stuff, the historic buildings, which are much more beautiful in my opinion for the most part. Yeah. And they're made of natural materials. So, because I don't see a huge difference between sustainability and heritage. It's the same thing to me.
Yeah.
And that's where I cut my teeth on historic buildings. And then I just transitioned into ecological building because it's kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard it put like that, but it makes sense. I'm going to back pocket that one for later. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. How do people, how do they find you?
I suppose, word of mouth is a big one. And of course that's more on the internet now, isn't it? Social media. I think I'm kind of known for what I do.
Yeah.
It's certainly in building I'm known and would get contacted, I think, for particular things. I'm forging a bit of a new, I don't know what the word is, like a new brand, not brand, but a new business in art, if you like, a new activity, which is more art focused. And I'm feeling a bit of the newbie there. In fact, yesterday I applied for a grant for an emerging artist. And I was like, shit, I'm emerging.
Yeah.
But we're all emerging all the time. It just seems such a crazy thing when you're in your sort of mid-50s to apply for an emerging artist.
Yeah. Do you get like, there was a time during, COVID where I was just like locked in and like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I just like went ballistic crazy with all sorts of like crazy plaster art and stuff. And I loved it. And I was just like making these, I thought were just like beautiful abstract pieces. And I was just giving them to friends as gifts. People are like, oh my God, you're an artist. This is amazing. And, it felt good. And it was nice to just like take out my inner angst and smack it all over the canvas. But, it was interesting when I got around like somebody who was deemed like a real artist. I found that I had like this imposter syndrome about it. Do you feel like that at all?
Yeah, we all get that. I just think nice human beings have imposter syndrome. I think it's all of us.
Yeah.
Because if you're a bit sensitive, you just generally think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not a proper artist or whatever. I think that's just part of being an artist, actually. You just got to get over it and keep going, keep doing the work.
The tortured artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this book I should tell you about. It's called The Creative Act. Have you read it?
I know the book. Oh, yeah. I listened to that book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like that guy, Rick Rubin?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of repetitive, isn't it? It's a little bit like being hammered on the head with the message, but I do really agree with the message.
Yeah. Somebody said, why do you like that book so much? And I said, well, it's the first book I read in a long time where I felt like it was very accessible, but then I also felt like it was a pragmatic approach to ethereal thought.
Yeah, nice.
Which is what I really liked about it. Like, that's how I sum it up. And Rick Rubin, I mean, what's interesting about that guy is like, and I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know like, the bullet points of him, but like, he's like this, have you ever seen a photo of him? Yeah, he's like this like wizard man. He's like Merlin. And he's like sitting there like collaborating with these people that are polar opposites of him. And they're just hanging on his every word. And it's just like, I don't know, every time I like think of like imposter syndrome and I think of art and I think of like what we're doing, I am definitely reminded of Rick Rubin. And he's just has these inspirational quotes. He was like, just do it for you. The art is for you. And don't be so clinging to like this outward reward.
Don't compare yourself to everything else out there. Just,
Yeah. Comparison's the thief of joy.
Well said.
Yeah. I didn't make, someone else said that.
I don't know who said that.
I don't know who said that, but they were right. It's like Winston Churchill or somebody like that. If you had to pick like a favorite project that you've worked on, contemporary times.
I mean, I think last year's Earthbound Orkney blows the rest out the pond.
Yeah.
Like it was so multi-dimensional, multidisciplinary, multi-everything, but in an exquisite part of the world, like Orkney, which is the islands off the north of Scotland. So it's a group of about 70 islands, and they're 10 miles north of the mainland. So it's right up there. On the way to the Arctic kind of thing. And it's, as well as being beautiful from a natural point of view, it's got this incredible archaeology from thousands of years ago, especially Neolithic times, which is like early farmers. And so there are archaeological remains just like you fall over them. They're everywhere and they're exquisite, and there's sort of stone circles and tombs and settlements and and extraordinary stonework as well. That's the thing that you notice, is this immaculate masonry. But weirdly, I mean, in a way, we were there looking at the earth, not the masonry, because people think of Scotland actually as a masonry tradition, as that's what we build with. But when you look a bit deeper and you look inside the walls, they're full of compacted earth. It's kind of like rammed earth with stone skins. In Orkney, anyway. That's one way of building. So, the reason I have to wheel back to kind of remind myself of how we ended up there. There's a few reasons. One is doing research on historic building and reading and researching and writing about it, and doing surveys of old buildings that have earth in them. And people sort of thinking that they were dry stone buildings, but actually they're full of earth mortars. So we did this big research on earth mortars, and that kind of led us to Orkney because they've got the most remains that are unchanged, that haven't been removed or destroyed. And then the other aspect is I'm also doing a part-time MA just now, based in Orkney. So I'm actually digitally connected to university in Orkney. And my MA is in contemporary art and archaeology. So this weird fusion, but it really works, where you sort of study archaeology and art together, and then add to that the architecture. That's kind of my background. So all these threads are woven in Earthbound Orkney. That's what that is. If
your kids say that you're weird again, I'm going to put them in a headlock and squeeze them, because you're not weird. You're awesome. That is so cool. That is so cool. Is your partner working on that with you as well?
Yeah, it was very much both of us.
Yeah.
And I have to give him most of the credit for writing the book.
Yeah.
Because it's not my natural domain. Well, I'm getting better. Like, I'm getting better at writing and I'm enjoying it more, but he is really the writer of the two of us. So he often interviews me, and then he'll sort of write it very quickly, so that we roll like that.
Yeah.
And of course he brings that architecture perspective that I don't have that so much.
Yeah.
So,
and what's his background in architecture?
He became an architect at he did the university training, and then he went into practice.
Got it.
And now he's a kind of conservation / ecological / community, all kinds of architecture, but a lot about natural materials.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you guys work on most of the projects together, or some facet of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Without getting too terribly personal, like what's that like? A home life versus work life.
It could be terrible, couldn't it?
Yeah.
For us, it's it's not perfect, of course. It's not, nothing's perfect, but it works really well because we understand everything about what the other person is doing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, a lot of it's unspoken because I know what he's been doing all day. He can come in. I know why he's tired. I know what difficulties he's had. And then there's a kind of, on the positive, like there's a philosophical, artistic, creative side where we just bounce ideas off each other. So we're like, it's almost like two artists together, really. We just create ideas together,
mm-hmm.
which is really quite exciting. And sometimes, but what I've noticed in bed at night is I'm like a night owl. So I get really excited late at night about artistry and archaeology, and I start to chat about this stuff. And he's like, "Oh, shut up. I just want to sleep."
Turn the brain off. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Just go to sleep, please."
Yeah. I'm sorry. We're closing the browser tonight. Yeah.
In most ways, we're very compatible. So.
Yeah.
And he's kind of calm and steady, and I'm a little bit more like, ah.
Yeah. It's the yin. It's the yin and the yang,
Yeah, that's it.
That's what we were talking about. Like all partnerships, you need the yin, you need the yang. If you get two people that are like the same thing, it's like, ugh, it just doesn't, it doesn't work. It's not like a lasting recipe for success. And like back to like the Rick Rubin thing, I remember there was one passage in the book where he was talking about, two different, colors of straw that get laid out, and one straw is one color and one straw is the other, and they're both beautiful in their own right. But then when you overlap the straws, the union that it's made between the two different colors makes so something that's like, just completely beautiful, and it's unstoppable.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I love that metaphor.
Yeah, it was so awesome. I'm like, Rick, you're speaking to me. You're speaking to me. Yeah.
But we didn't always get on. So here's the thing. So when we first met, which is many years ago on a job, I don't know if you have this with do you have architects that you work for or with? Is that a relationship that you have on jobs?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Sure do.
So in my world, that's often a spiky, tricky relationship because basically as the builder, they are in charge of me. And sometimes, they can sort of throw their weight around and it's a tension. It's an awkward thing. And I remember Tom as a kind of in that authority role being quite difficult, and we used to argue and fight and it wasn't an easy thing in the beginning, but gradually we got to know each other better and realized, well, yeah, we do get on. This is okay. We can do this.
We can do this. Yeah. How long after you knew him did a little bit of romance start?
Yeah.
Now we're coming
quite a lot of years, actually. Because I met him in like 92 and thought, oh God, what's he talking about? Like I wasn't impressed at all. And then it was maybe 10 years later or something when we finally got together. So, but I think it was working on, like I'm sitting here next to a medieval tower, which I, wish you could see in a way. It's beautiful. And it's a lime hull. Do you know what lime hull is? Do you know what that means?
No, do tell.
It's when most of my work over the years has been lime coatings on the outside of old buildings. Like that's been a big thing. And I did the work here on this tower called lime hull. So you make a slurry of lime and sand and you throw it at the wall. It's like rough cast.
Yeah.
Okay?
Like harling of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. So, I was the builder doing that there on that building, and he was the architect. Mm-hmm. And in a way, that's sealed the union, if you like. Not that we're married, but that was it. We started to really get on at that point. Mm-hmm. And I came to live here because I had such a good time on that job. So I moved in next door in the tower. Well, not in the actual tower, but next door to the tower. And he's living here in a little cottage, and the rest is history, or
the
whatever
rest
you say.
Is history. Yeah. Yes. The rest is blowing in the wind.
But he describes this moment where he, like a bowerbird makes a nest, and then they sort of put all colourful, beautiful things in it. So he's here renovating this cottage, and he talks about being like the bowerbird, and that he was showing me his special presentation nest, if you like. I don't see it like that. I see it like he's in the dirt with some plumbing. That's what I remember. But in his head, it's this bowerbird sort of incredible piece of art. Like, quite different.
Look what.
But it
worked.
Wherever it was, it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It drew you in. I'm thinking of like the National Geographic, like Morgan Freeman sort of voiceovers about like what's happening. That's awesome. The bowerbird expresses his plumage. I love that. That is hilarious.
Yeah, his plumbing.
Yeah, his plumage. He's going to listen to me. He's like, who is this guy? Kick his ass. Yeah. So he's the writer. You're not the writer, but you said you're getting better at it.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
What do you like to write about?
I've started writing poems, actually. Like, mostly I've written reports and kind of slightly dry things about mortar, which is fine. But I've started to do more creative writing, and I just was in a drawing program recently where I ended up drawing with sand. Okay. So I'm throwing sand across the floor and in waves and stuff. And I was like, I want to write this. I'm going to write as if I am sand, because I'm kind of interested in the voice of speaking for things that are not human, actually, whether it's soil or sand or plants or whatever. Kind of interested in that idea. So I write this poem called, What Would the Sand Say?
Do you have it memorized by heart?
No.
Do you have like a passage
You're
memorized?
not going to get a reading today.
One little passage, not there.
Well, I think it starts as I am sand. I don't even remember the second line. That's not great, is it? A shapeshifter and land maker or something like that. But it's about the sand crisis, which is something, I don't know whether you think about these things, but in terms of making mortars, I'm nearly always trying to use local materials that are very low processed. I know there's a place for products and prefab and all the rest of it, but my own sort of practice is about local materials. So the old mortars generally have unwashed sands in them, which are much better for the environment than big quarried, industrial scale sand production, which is causing huge global problems. And there's lots of people writing about that. So it was my attempt through art to say, wake up everyone to what's happening to sand, in simple terms.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy named Ben Kerstlake from Carrington Lime.
Okay.
You know Ben?
Yeah, I know Ben.
Yes, great guy, great guy. Ben and Kate. And we were discussing the sand crisis as well. And then also, do you know the folks down in Costa Rica? Rancho Mastatal?
I follow them, I think, but I don't know them personally.
Nick Donati. Also
sounds familiar.
Also a fellow Brit of yours, but you're from Scotland as far as I'm concerned. And he was talking about, their need to really pull from the riverbeds in Costa Rica, and how, they really, really, really want to make sure that they're pulling these sands from places that are like insanely close to them. And if they can't sort it out, they're going to try a different way to build.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing with us, if we just talk about mudwall for a minute, like cob. Plaster, it's more tricky with plaster to avoid sand, if I'm honest, but let's talk about mass earth, right? Traditionally, they did not add sand. It wasn't a thing. And a lot of modern cob is made by taking clay soil and adding sand in big amounts, actually, especially in Oregon. Like, their way of working with cob is sand heavy. So I'm all for like upping the fiber and getting rid of the sand. And that does mean finding gritty, sandy clay soils, if possible, or having them in where you're building for that to make sense. Because if they're very rich, it's difficult to work without the sand. But anyway, I'm all about reducing things that harm the environment. But mostly I'm about recycling and repairing what's already here. Actually, I think that's a huge, positive way to look at things, is retrofit or remodel or whatever you want to call it. Let's use what we have and not keep building new. Because a lot of our problems in this country could be solved by retrofit rather than new build.
Yeah. We were talking about it yesterday with the gals from Alchemist Paint about the fires in Los Angeles. I don't know if you heard about those that were happening here. I mean, just completely devastating. There's obviously going to be a tremendous amount of rebuilding, but it's like, let's just all pump the brakes and let's take a look at why this happened. And then let's not build something that's the exact same again. So this is just going to happen again.
Yeah.
So they've been working a lot with like, the folks that are doing the codes to make sure that they're actually able to get these sustainable materials spec'd. And, we're not saying that like these sustainable materials, that everyone in Los Angeles is going to build with mud and straw. It's not what we're saying. But still, there's a viable way in which these materials can get used in a conventional sense in which, we're not going to be harming the earth as much as we currently are, is my take on it. Yeah. And then we talked about
totally agree.
Yeah, I talked about, I'm fully aware that, although I spread natural plasters on walls, I'm working on homes that are, $50 million each. Like, it's just wild how expensive these homes are. So I am certainly aware of my ability to be a walking hypocrisy. Well aware. I just try to kind of augment my moves based on the dividends that I have from the jobs. And, when we make our plasters, I'm like, what can we do on our end to like try? And I just feel like if everyone just tried just a little,
exactly,
we'd be in a better place.
If we all do a bit.
Just a bit. I mean, I'm flying on an airplane in 2 days and, be burning fossil fuels. Like I'm aware. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, moving forward? Like what's tomorrow bring for you? What's a couple months from now? What's a few years from now?
Well, I guess I'd like to keep weaving all the different things. I'd like to keep weaving, metaphorically, art, building, people. I'd like to keep this sort of multi-dimensional, multidisciplinary kind of way of working going forward. It's exciting. I think it's really relevant to sorting out a lot of planetary, problems. It's all about connecting in relationships and stuff like that. I'm most excited about materials, really. That's the odd thing. It's like I'm a real sort of materials person, and artistically, I'm more interested in the soil in my hand than anything else. Like, and how it might work, what I can do with it. But equally, to solve the big problems, we have to relate better as human beings. But I think this is where it gets interesting, because I think when you're working along, you'll know this, when you're working alongside people with these materials, especially when you're using your hands, you get on better anyway. It makes getting on easier. So it's like, how can I bring all these things together and have some sort of impact? And I know one thing we haven't mentioned actually is I do a lot of community buildings, like working with local schools, villages, people with challenges, people who are inaccessible people, if you like, people who are difficult to reach in whatever way, and get them involved in making buildings in their spaces, which might be a park shelter, it might be a classroom, it might be a bus stop, whatever. And then there's that whole empowering thing. And nearly always it's women, I have to say. It just starts out as everyone, and often the people that are left are a bunch of like women in their 50s and 60s, like eating a lot of cake. That's how these things often roll.
Yeah.
And they bring the grandkids or whatever.
Let them eat cake.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Cake's you've got to have tea and cake on these things. Like, it's just important.
Are you milk first or milk second with tea?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, so I was brought up that milk first, right? But I think I've veered to milk afterwards now. I've kind of loosened on that one.
Yeah, got it. I'm definitely a milk first guy as well. And I've become very...
that's proper, like, that's what the Queen would have done, for sure.
Yeah, I've become very accustomed to English tradition. And I'm certainly aware of formalities that exist within certain households. Yeah, and I always ask first. I just say, what are the rules of the tea consumption here? Last thing I want to do is offend anybody.
Yeah, and you guys don't have enough tea breaks. Like, that's a funny one about whenever I travel, wherever it is, it's like, when are we going to have a tea break?
Yeah. No.
Siggy's terrible for that. You've got to stop Siggy. You've got to say, Siggy, it's tea time. And she's like, she's away. She doesn't remember to drink tea.
Yeah, she's doing things. Yeah. It's just, we're in such a hurry here. Like, everything's in a rush here in America. It's like life's just like a timed event, like go, 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 go. And I don't really see that stopping anytime soon. It's like, if you want to get in and you want to be part of the hustle and the bustle here, at least, it's like, you got to just go. And I don't know any other way about it.
Is there no tea drinking culture on building sites ever then? Does that just not happen?
I think it generally just doesn't happen. It's so weird. Yeah. There are certain companies, like a larger company here, that we do a lot of work for. They're called On-Site Management, OSM. They're a fantastic company. They have routine breaks at 10 to 10:15 every morning, like where they just stop what they're doing for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, that's more.
So I guess that's like a metaphorical tea break, but if you were going to see any of those guys drinking tea, you wouldn't at all. It's like a Monster energy drink or something like that. But like, there's a lot of, a lot of Hispanics here now, like doing masonry and stuff. And I'm sorry, they're laying it with concrete. I apologize. But there's a lot of tradition that exists within that culture, especially around like lunchtime. And it's always really fun to kind of like go into the tents where they're doing all the masonry and sit down and like, what are you guys chefing up today? Like, what do you got? And so it's kind of cool to see that happening for sure. And I'm always going there with my limited Spanish, and they probably make fun of me right to my face in Spanish, but they'll hand me something delicious. So I get it. What about, I want to get back to the Dorodango balls.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about those. Because I watched in this beautiful video that you had online that I got home and I showed to my wife, and I sent it to Carl, who's our filmmaker. Yeah. And Carl loved it. Tell us about the Dorodango balls.
Oh, do you know, I came across them weirdly in Italy. I was there. So it's one of these funny mix-ups. I was learning from a Japanese plasterer, and in fact, I think an Italian taught me how to make the Dorodango, which is was a Japanese traditional art form, of course. So it's this polished ball of unfired clay that is really traditional for Japanese children. It's kind of a calming, meditative thing that they do with their kids. But I was taught by an Italian next to a Japanese person. So we were kind of, the Japanese guy I mentioned is the guy that puts the Dorodango in his shoes to take away the smells. So there's a nice little connection there. But it's, it doesn't really serve a purpose except for in the doing. It's a beautiful thing to make. But actually I use it as a teaching tool because, and I know Siggy does too, it really teaches you in a very small way to get intimate with the earth, to feel comfortable, to start to understand what it is and what's in it. And so how it reacts can often give me a guidance as to the nature of the soil and what it might be used for in building terms. And it is extraordinarily beautiful. And then in Earthbound Orkney, we made it within the exhibition. We have these rammed earth cubes and then these little polished clay balls sitting on top. And each of these kind of artifacts comes from a different place on the island coast. So they're all rooted in place. And then the other little bit to that story is that these shiny clay balls are also found in Neolithic sites in Orkney. They're not super shiny because they've been in the soil for 5,000 years, but they are there, in some number. And we're not saying that Neolithic people sat around polishing clay. It's not a simple link in that way, but they were doing something rolling clay in their hands. And we don't know what that was, to be honest. It's hard to know. It could have been a game. It could have been a children's thing. It could have been some part of pottery production. Some people talk about slingshots and heating there's so many possibilities. But for us, it was like, it was a thing we could make easily, and it's a thing you can share with anyone, and it's a way into seeing Earth as part of our material culture. Whether it's artifacts or buildings, we start to see Earth, dirt, as a precious thing instead of this resource that we can just plunder and, waste and pollute and all the rest of it. So it's just kind of it's like a little window into a world of Earth.
Yeah, that you get to hold.
That makes sense?
Oh, but yeah,
and you can hold it in your hand, and in doing so, you are becoming the earth, because when you work with clay, your hands are getting dirty, your skin cells are going into that ball, your DNA is going into that ball. And in fact, there's one example that's just come to mind where there's an archaeological hoard where they put a little clay ball with a bit of gold inside a burial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as if what people think is they took a ball of earth from Scotland and went to the Holy Land and maybe rubbed it on a relic, came back and buried it as a special artifact. And again, I'm not saying that's what they're for generally, but that in that case, maybe that was what was going on. So there's so many beautiful stories that can be woven into these objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you heard about Benito's current passion project?
No, what's his current one? I don't know what the latest
He's trying to gain some funding where they're going to travel the world, and they're establishing clay as their main character. And they're traveling the world, and they are doing, you've seen the videos, right, that they've done.
Yeah,
they're just
sure.
so amazingly impressive and so beautiful. And they just emote such care and creativity. And you can tell the people, the love behind the people that are making these videos. And they're going to just basically follow clay throughout the world.
Great project. I want to come.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll get them here.
Yeah.
I'll invite them to Scotland.
Benito, you're going to Scotland.
Yeah.
And
I met him as a little boy with his family because I learnt from the Steens many years ago. I did their artistry of clay and lime, and I remember their kids were kind of feral and just around building, and it was such that's a moment in time when maybe there was a thought, this is what I want. This life is for me.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Well, Benito's got a little kid now too.
That's right.
Yeah. The kid was born in the same room that he was.
Amazing.
Which is cool.
Yeah. It's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. I say it all the time throughout these things. I just gain friends. So here we go. I got another friend. Yay. And, I'm going to turn up in Scotland.
That would be brilliant. You're so welcome.
Probably sooner than later.
It's been a total pleasure talking to you today.
Yes. Thank you. And, we'll stay in touch and have a great rest of the day. And, my Birkenstocks, thank you.
Yeah, get those clay balls in those shoes.
Oh, we're doing it. Cool.
Tell me how good it feels.
Will do. Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to click in next week as we sit down for a chat with Croft Alsasser from American Clay Enterprises in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A decorative painter by trade, Croft augmented his skill set to offer plaster before fully immersing himself into a life of full-scale production, creating what many consider to be a communal movement in the world of veneer coatings. We'll chat about the inherent sheen of his entrepreneurial journey, as well as the inevitable depth of texture that can occur while running an ever-changing manufacturing facility amidst fluctuating markets. He's the man who started it all, and you won't want to miss this. Until next time, cheers!